Hey guys, so summer's coming, and what does that mean? It means internships. We are bringing on two, possibly three interns over the summer at Forefront to assist us, and obviously to give the interns a glimpse of what commercial real estate is all about. And as a majority of our work is landlord representation, I was putting some notes together and got to thinking that the biggest thing on site visits for us is knowing what you're showing to the prospects and making sure you have the right tools with you. So today I want to kind of give a little summary and of things that I bring with me on site visits, knowledge that I like to know when we pick up new vacancies, and so I have the information to give to the potential prospects. Want to start off with the very basic knowledge. Know the size of your space, know how big the space is, know if the space can be expanded into a vacancy next door, or if the landlord would be open to relocating that neighboring tenant so a tenant can take that space and expand. Somebody know the dimensions of the space, know how wide it is, know how deep it is. That has a lot to do when you're talking to tenants on the phone. They'd like to know that information before they even come out. Know the HVAC condition. So know if the HVAC is at a 4-ton, a 6-ton, a 10-ton. How many HVAC units does the space have? What's the condition of those units? Do they need to be replaced? Do they have life left on them? Those are always good items, and you won't always have that information. But if the landlord does or will provide an inspection report, it's knowledge for you to help provide to the prospect, because nobody wants to take a unit that has damaged HVACs. So, and it's a benefit if you're telling a prospect that, look, the landlord knows the units are bad and he has to put new units on here. That provides some reassurance that they're going to have good HVAC for the next 10 to 15 years. If it's a restaurant, know if the space has a grease trap. Know the size of the grease trap. Is it 1,200 gallon, 1,500 gallon? Is it larger? Some restaurants are going to want to know the size of the water lines coming into the space. That's not always information easy to get, but most landlords will have that information for you. Electric. Know the size of the electric. Know how much electric the space has. Is 200 amp, 400 amp? Is there room to bring in more electric if a tenant needs? Sometimes these ice cream shops, will go into a little 1,200 square foot bay, but need more electric and 400 amps, and you only have 200 amps. Can you bring more electric into the space? Some other things to think about: pylon signage, monument signage. Is it available? Not every space has pylon signage. Some of them do. Some of them have monument signage, internal signage, directional signage. There's other, what type of signage is available on the space. And then a big thing for me, which I like to know, is ceiling heights. Not only what is the ceiling height to the drop ceiling, but what are the ceiling heights to the bottom of the joist? What are the ceiling heights to the deck? What to do for site visit. So you want to get there early. You want to open up all the doors, especially if the power has been down. It's South Florida. It is hot. Summer's coming. Get there early. Open the doors up, front and back. Let that air blow through. Bring air freshener. Trust me, you're gonna want it. Spray air freshener in the space before a prospect gets there. Walk through. If our bays have power, sometimes we will put the air fresheners in the walls, the electric ones, so there's continuously air freshener in the space, and it smells good when you walk in. Turn the HVAC on if it hasn't been on. Kick it on, let it run for a few minutes before a prospect gets there, so it is not so hot and humid in the space. Make sure all the drains in the space have water in them. That is the worst thing to walk into a space and to smell sewer gas. You want to look at the floor drains, the sinks, the toilets. This is something that you want to ask the porter, the maintenance guy at some of your properties to keep an eye on, because sometimes you don't visit a vacancy every week. So if the porter continues, or if you stop by weekly, fill those floor drains with water. And that is it fills the P trap. If you're familiar with the drains, it fills the P trap with water and doesn't allow the sewer gas to expand into the vacancy. Turn the water on for a little bit. If there is no water on in the space, which most of our vacancies don't have the water on, bring a bucket, go out back, fill the bucket with a hose. Every shopping center's got a hose spigot somewhere, and pour it into the floor drain, pour it into the sink, pour it into the toilets. turn the lights on if the space has power. If it doesn't have power, bring, like I said, bring flash to the space for you and for the prospect. I like to bring these magnetic wall lights so I can stick them up into some of the darker spaces of our spaces, vacancies, and I leave them on so the tenant can walk around and doesn't have to worry about using a flashlight. I've got probably 4 or 5 of these in my truck that I carry around. Home Depot, they're bright. I mean, look, I'll turn this sucker on. That is bright. That thing can light a whole space up for you. So little LED lights, they're bright. If you don't have one of these, go buy it. It is a laser measuring tool. Great to have, especially for, checking ceiling heights, dimensions. If a tenant is looking to, add walls, or a prospect is looking to, I want to add in a wall here. How, instead of pulling the tape measure out, the laser, it's quick, it's easy, it's great. With everything going on today, COVID-19, you want to bring hand sanitizer. Bring a face mask for yourself. And if you have extras, bring extras for the prospect, just in case they don't have. And that way nobody feels uncomfortable. Everybody's got a face mask. All right, guys, so I think I covered everything. It seems like a lot, but I promise you it's not. When you get, what we like to do, we have a little checklist. When we get a new vacancy, we go through the checklist, answer all the questions. Again, the HVAC, the size, the dimension, ceiling heights. Have all that. Carry it in a binder with you. That way it's easily accessible. If you're not going to remember every ceiling height and every vacancy, and carry it in a binder, or keep digital notes in your phone. That way, when a prospect does ask, it's easily accessible. You can look it up, and you're good to go. So I hope that helps, especially some of the new guys out there that I know have reached out and asked us questions on what we do and what we like to know. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out to us. Laura Briggle or myself. Glad to answer any questions anybody has. And good luck on your next site visit. Talk to you later, guys.